The Bloodline comes out, and Corey Graves compares Roman Reigns to Bret Hart, who was leading a new generation as champion when Raw launched. But Bret was not showing up for this. Maybe I'll see you guys in 10 years.
Didn't get the call, or maybe he'd have got the call.
He might have gotten the call.
Yeah.
I could certainly have seen him getting the call for this. So this is the trial of Sami Zayn, and this was like a half hour. So it's commercial free.
Yeah, can we talk about them changing this?
Yeah, this was going to be the Bloodline, all the generations represented, and then they flipped it over the weekend to announce that it was instead going to be Sami Zayn going on trial after the events of SmackDown, where Roman Reigns got put through the table by Kevin Owens.
Is there anything deeper you care to look into that decision?
I don't think, for people looking to tie it into something with The Rock, I don't believe that would be the case. I think that this was just a change. I had seen that it was appearing that Rikishi, Alpha, and Sika were not going to be able to make it. So I think that more than anything, I wasn't expecting Rock to ever be part of this segment. So I don't think his involvement was going to affect this. But if Alpha and Sika and Rikishi all couldn't make it, well, then it kind of defeats the purpose of the multiple generations.
Right.
So we got ECW chants at the beginning, and Heyman kind of plays off of it, saying that ECW is dead, and it's the same, I think, Sami Zayn should be as well. Heyman has completely turned on Shmuley, and he is going to be the prosecution against Sami Zayn. Stating in Samoan language, he's an Mbula Banabala. He's a Judas.
Pretty good. How many times did you have to rewind to get that?
A few, more than one.
Pretty good.
And then, this audience, they want to cling to ECW Paul, and he's really pushing them. But then he says that the Philadelphia Eagles will get conquered by Brock Purdy of the 49ers. And this, fuck you, Paul. You will never be embraced again by Philadelphia. So Heyman has 4 pieces of evidence that will prove Zayn is guilty as charged, as Paul Heyman dug down for his old pay-per-view voiceover voice. Exhibit A, August 12th of last year, when Drew McIntyre attacks the Usos backstage and Zayn just hightails it. August 29th, Zayn gets a chair ringside, hesitates to hit Owens with it, and ends up costing Jay the match. Then at Survivor Series, there's the Bloodline in victory, but Sami Zayn is gloating, sitting on top of the cage, and gives a 4 life sign, which I don't think anybody caught, beyond Paul Heyman, who asked, "What are we, the NWO?" That was a sign. That was a signal for Kevin Owens. And then December 23rd, a Zayn promo where he brushes past Roman Reigns in the ring. Assault on the tribal chief. What's next, Sammy? Are you going to perform euthanasia on his father? Are you going to castrate his son? That was an assassination attempt on the tribal chief to try and become the new leader. If nothing else, you are guilty of assault, and I find this rat bastard guilty as charged.
I feel like it's been said, many a time that, in another lifetime, I think Paul Heyman would have made a small fortune as a star lawyer.
This was his education through watching his father. This is his wheelhouse.
There you go. He was absolutely tremendous here, and I think the footage that they have in the poll told you everything you need to know. It ultimately everything here is in service of baby facing Sami Zayn, and clearly it relied on the heel to really stretch in order to find some of this evidence. I thought it was hilarious.
This rat bastard. Zayn is so hurt that Heyman has done this to him. And he says that it hurts him that you would put me on trial after all that I've done to prove my loyalty. So my defense is I have no defense. So Reigns gets upset and asks if it's his ego that won't let him fight for this. You won't even argue? And he calls on Solo. And Solo is going to have to perform the hit. And he goes behind Sami Zayn and he pulls out the Samoan spike. But before he can off Sami, Jay Uso comes to the rescue of Sami Zayn. And Jay was up all night on his Avid as he put together the defense for Sami Zayn, and his exhibits include June 3rd of last year when Riddle was taking on Jay, and Zayn played Roman's theme to distract Riddle and leading to Jay's win. August 19th, Zayn takes the bullet for Jay, eating a Claymore. Then September 9th, doing the same for Solo when he takes a chair shot from Drew. December 9th, holding on to Sheamus, allowing the Usos to beat Sheamus and Butch. And then the low blow and haluva kick delivered to Kevin Owens at War Games. Jay argues that Zayn has taken bullets for everyone. He's bulletproof. I didn't trust Sami. I despised you. But you saw the good in me, and you never gave up on me. That's what family does. Sami, I love you like a brother. So if you're voting to keep Sami in the bloodline, put your ones in the air. And Jay and Jimmy vote to keep Sami in. The crowd is chanting Sami Uso, and Reigns, the judge, rules that Sami Zayn is not guilty for now. And Sami, you should thank Jay for buying you more time. Finish out tonight, make us proud, and then I don't want to see you until the Royal Rumble on Saturday. And that is where you will have to pass the final test to determine if you really are part of the bloodline or not. This was the first half hour of the show. It was awesome. They could have gone the first hour, and I would have enjoyed this. This was tremendous.
It was absolutely fantastic, yeah.
It was like riveting stuff, and I do not use that word too often.
And you know, given like the late change, I mean, you really do wonder how much time they had to come up with it all. You know, could have fooled me, like, you know, that they didn't come up with this, you know, way in advance, because it was of good quality, high quality. I think what has made this program stand out above so many other, you know, ones we typically see in professional wrestling is, I think, some like relatively strong acting ability, you know, in the star players here, in Paul Heyman, in Roman Reigns, and especially in Sami Zayn, and I think especially in Jey Uso, who, man, you know, like ever since like he's kind of made up with Sami Zayn, he's taken a bit of a back seat. Like he doesn't have as much to do now that his kind of story has been resolved. But I think it was wonderfully poetic here that he was the one, the most vocal anti-Sami Zayn person in the group is now the best friend, the one who is most pro Sami Zayn, you know, staying up all night on his editing machine, you know, putting together those wonderful clips. In terms of performance, I think all of them bring out the best in each other. And, you know, like week after week now, they've been using the bloodline a lot, both on Raw and on SmackDown. And ultimately, what do we really gain? Like, usually things just kind of typically return to the status quo. As many times as they might, you know, tease Roman being angry at Sami, usually by the end of the week, by the end of the episode, it's like, okay, they're a strong unit together again. We're kind of going in circles until, you know, we get to Mania, whatever. But I'm never dissatisfied watching a Bloodline segment because the performances are so good. You know, they're just so entertaining and they're just fun, you know? So, but I would say overall, what you are doing throughout all these segments is I think you continue to babyface Sami Zayn really well. Yes, he's part of a heel group, but all of his motivations are completely genuine. All he wants to do is please the tribal chief and feel a sense of belonging in this family that may not necessarily want him. But they're doing a good enough job to convey that to the audience that we want him to succeed.
So the way they position this is that Sami Zayn is not supposed to be on SmackDown. So I guess they could always do something where he pops up, but the idea was, I don't want to see you till Saturday. Do you leave this expecting Sami Zayn in the Royal Rumble, or have they done enough that people do not expect that and there's any kind of letdown if he's not in it?
Yeah. I think we're looking at a Daniel Bryan situation potentially here. If you don't make it explicit that he's not going to be in the Rumble, people might end up cheering for him. Like, you know, when you get down to number 30,
and the person that will be most affected by that, if that is ambiguous, is Cody Rhodes.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. So I think they have to make it like pretty clear if he's not going to be in the Rumble. Like maybe he gets taken out earlier in the night. But yeah, they haven't stated his entry, and I don't know if there's a purpose in putting Sami Zayn in the Rumble.
Maybe that's the final test, is that Sami Zayn has to show his loyalty in the Royal Rumble.
But I mean, the feud is Kevin Owens. The story is Kevin Owens.
Yeah. No, and it's that kind of makes no sense either. Like, if he's in the Rumble, it's either...
They could shoot an angle at the Rumble, like, I don't know, maybe after the match and say, like, okay, final test. You know, win the Rumble. Yeah, I don't know. But like if you're laying out the Rumble to tell the Cody story, I don't know if Sami really has a place in it.
So our first match was the Usos against Damian Priest and Dominic for the Raw tag team titles. They work over the lower back of Jimmy after he takes a pounce onto the desk. Finn Balor gets ejected, and Jay goes for the Uso splash, but is cradled by Priest. And then Jimmy hits the Uso splash, getting a 2 count. Jimmy injures his knee in the process, landing on the floor, and he ends up needing help to the back. So Adam Pearce is out, stating if you can't continue, then the titles are forfeited and you lose the match. So Sami Zayn offers to take Jimmy's spot. And this was a great callback to the tag turmoil from 2 weeks ago. And Pearce notes, I did this for the Judgment Day. Like, this was not they came up with some wacky new rule. Like, this completely ties in with what you did 2 weeks ago. So Pearce approves it, and it is now Jay and Sami defending the tag titles. So Zayn just fires up, tope con hero onto both men, exploder to Dominic, and then is hit with South of Heaven by Damian Priest. Jay then stops a 619 with a super kick, delivers one to Priest, but then Rhea's in the ring and he holds up and won't super kick her, and Rhea is goading him to strike her. Dominic then drop kicks from behind, hits the 619 and frog splash, but in comes Zayn to save Jay, and they hit the 1D on Dom, and Zayn gets the pinfall, winning it for the team.
Yeah. I thought this was really awesome.
This is like an hour of the Bloodline to start Raw, commercial free.
And I thought it all built on each other. You know, like the fact that I think this match came across so well is because you've done such a great job in the first segment building the audience's desire for Sami Zayn to, again, want to achieve his own personal goal of pleasing this family. So now you put, first of all, I thought Jimmy did a great job with the dive, like, you know, and purposely landing on that foot, like had me kind of convinced there at the beginning to think that could have been real. Obviously it was, you know, all done to set up this wonderful angle. And now you put Sami Zayn in a situation where he gets to prove himself. You know, he gets to make good on, you know, what has already been in doubt in the tribal chief, and what Jey Uso kind of like went out of his way to, you know, put his own reputation on the line to prove his loyalty and his worth to the bloodline. Now we get to see that story like embodied in the result of this match. And I was so captivated in particular because I thought this was where he was going to fuck up and he was going to lose the titles for the Usos. You know, just in a time where like Jay was like so like, you know, into Sami, like you deserve to be a part of my family. Then he fucks up and gives Roman that much more motivation. So this is all to say, like, I really believe that we could have had a title change here, you know, especially because we're closer to Mania, and because the Judgment Day are so hot. But they went the other direction. They're keeping both belts on the Usos. I just thought like the heat was tremendous here. You put the focus in the match on the guy that this arena cheered for the loudest all night. I thought it was great.
Ben Reigns notes in the locker room, in the office, that he still doesn't want to see Sami until Saturday.